further delay, these are the links for the other videos. So just so you guys know, the reason why canopy collisions is a hot topic is because I analyze AIM reports and canopy collisions are an issue. And we often just think about them at opening, but I recognize that often at the end of the night, people are going for sunset and we're going to bump end cells. And I actually don't think people are actually aware of the dangers and what actually happens in that. And most canopy collision fatalities happen below 500 feet above the ground. So I am excited to have Ben Kirkland. Many of you guys know him as our tandem instructor, but he's also a CSPA coach too. And he's going to present on this topic. And Ben, I don't know if you have slideshows or if I need to share you, but where are you, Ben?
I don't actually have slideshows.
Perfect. Then I will let you just do your video.
I'm just going to talk at everyone.
I love it. All right, Ben, it's all yours.
Cool. So, well, a bit about canopy collisions. I've never been in one, and I don't think anyone else here has probably ever been in one. So all you can do is just think about what to do and just be as prepared as you can just in case it ever does happen, because obviously it has happened and it can be a pretty bad time. So obviously the best way to not get in a canopy collision is by not getting in a canopy collision. So it's basically just all about avoidance. And, there's like lots of ways that you're going to want to avoid that. Some strategies, basically, we'll talk about break off because that's going to be one of the main times when people are going to, be close to each other under parachute and things can happen unexpectedly. And when you hear about canopy collisions, it's a lot of the times it's on opening and break off. So basically just having a good break off, track fast, track hard, keep your head on a swivel, and do your wave off. When you're in a jump, it's important to stay close with the group on the skydive and then get away from the group on break off. So like, don't be that guy that say you're going low or something and you're just like halfway through the jump and you peace out. Just stay with the group as best you can, just so that there's a plan there on the break off that everyone's kind of following. Main thing, keep your head on a swivel. Look to your left, look to your right. Say you do find yourself above someone on a break off. Actually, the best thing that you can do if you're above is just to wave off and open instead of just like trying to track away to the right or left. It's just about like, thinking about, it's thinking on the spot. So yeah. Then the other time that actually is the main one where people get in collisions is on the landing pattern, which Allison actually told me. And that's actually probably a more dangerous one because you're going to be closer to the ground. So that's the same thing. Just make sure that you're, flying a nice predictable pattern. Make a make like a landing plan with all your other jumpers that are on the skydive. You know, always give way. So like, it's just better to give way to the person in front of you, right? Or in front of you and below you, because that person has less of a chance to see you. So, and again, keeping your head on a swivel. So if you're coming in and say you're flying on the same height as someone and you're on your final, you know, like, don't do sachets to land on your target. Just keep an eye on the guy who's kind of beside you and just land nice and safe. And, you know, main thing is just giving way, I think. Because if everyone's giving way, then, you know, everyone's just being nice to each other. So you don't have to have the sickest landing on every single jump or anything. You know, it might mean you have to not do your 90 swoop or your 270 swoop because there's somebody coming in on the pattern. Just give way to them. So also flocking we can talk about. I won't go too into crew stuff because, you know, I don't really do any crew. I don't really know much about it, but definitely canopy collision. It's not really collisions when you're flocking. It's more like entanglements if you get into each other's stuff. But just because I know a lot of people like to do it because it's, you know, it's really fun to like be close to your friend on under parachute. Just, you know, make sure you know who you're flocking with. If you're going to bump end cells a little bit, just let each other know. Don't be aggressive about it. You know, don't start walking on your friend's parachute to mess with them or whatever. Just be safe about it. And, you know, have fun with it. What also on, if you think you're going to get in a canopy collision, and this will be more on opening, is the main things to avoid it, as well as if you're coming in. A lot of people like to do right-hand turns. So, you know, if you're both turning right, you're gonna go away from each other. So both doing right-hand turns instead of like just turning whatever way you think is best. And then, you know, it could end up going like that. So yeah, that's a general rule of thumb, is we do like right-hand turns. And yeah. What are you going to do if you know you're going to crash into someone? I would say just like, you can be going really fast, so definitely try and protect your head. And yeah, I don't know, just brace for an impact, depending on where you're going to hit. And then in an entanglement. So in an entanglement, you want to communicate with the other person, and also stay height aware, because you guys are probably going to be losing height fast. So you'll be nice and close, talk to each other a little bit. If it's like super high speed, and things are happening really fast, the lowest person would want to cut away, be the one to cut away, as long as you're high enough. And then it can be helpful to disconnect your RSL so you're not like blowing your reserve straight into the guy's face as well, because those sky hooks can work pretty quickly. Yeah, and also let the other person know, like, hey, I'm gonna cut away now, and you're gonna be stuck with 2 parachutes. So just talk to each other, communicate, and yeah, try and keep yourselves safe. So what if that happens low? So in a landing pattern, you definitely don't really want to think about cutting away because you're not going to have enough time to have a new parachute. I would just say, you know, like, try and inflate something, work together to make it happen. And yeah, just avoidance is key, because that's definitely not where you want to be. So just think about flying those safe patterns and keeping away from each other on final, giving each other lots of space. You know, like if you're catching up to someone, you can fly a little bit on brakes, and then same for the person behind you. You know, it goes all the way up to the last person on the ground. So yeah, you just want to be flying safe. Yeah, and I think that's all I really have. So thank you very much for the safety day.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, thank you. And I think just
if anyone else has anything to add, I think Allison learned some stuff about at your
I learned lots of stuff at the PIA.
The PIA.
That's a whole presentation of itself. Yeah, the only thing that I would add to that, and especially regarding the bumping of end cells on that wonderful sunset, is know your EPs around Canopy stuff. And the best people to ask are crew people. So anyone you know who has been a Skyhawk, which there are many I know at our drop zone and across Canada, they are such experts. I mean, they intentionally get into this stuff and they know this inside out. And I just know personally, Gordon and I have had some conversations, and you will not be bumping end cells up there unless you know the EPs, because all it takes is one weird push or turbulence, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're in an entanglement. And if you don't know what the EPs are for that, we've got issues. So again, everyone's kind of said it, utilize instructors and coaches. And also this is all in the PIMS as well through CSPA. So does anyone have any questions for, oh, Paige, go ahead. Paige, you can unmute yourself, or I might ask, there you go.
Hey, quick on that last one you were just talking about, also talk about it on the ground first. Don't just come up to somebody and assume they're okay with you bumping their end cells. But the point I wanted to actually mention is if you're on track to possibly collide with somebody, never do a hard toggle turn. It's flat turns. So a hard toggle turn is going to swing your body out, and that's going to happen with the other person too, which is most likely going to collide your bodies. So flat turns to avoid canopy collisions for sure. And that's close to the ground to avoid anything flat turns. We practice our hard toggle turns all the time, and people panic and just automatically go to hard toggle turns. And I've seen a few people get severely injured from doing that close to the ground to avoid. I'm lucky to have walked away from one of those situations. practice your flat turns and keep them in mind for those emergency situations.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely that's a really good point. Because yeah, you in those stressful situations, it's easy to panic and just rip a toggle down in exactly how you said, actually. Yeah, that's a good thing to think about for sure.
I'm on mute. There we go. Well, thank you again very much, Ben.